For today's build, I thought it would be fun to do a little throwback to one of the derpiest Pokemon of all time, and that is of course, Tangela. But not just any Tangela. I'm going to try and sculpt a hyper-realistic version, something that you might actually encounter in the jungle at night. The original Tangela design has very normal looking eyes that are super cartoony, but unfortunately only black and white. For my redesign, I want its eyes to be super creepy and hyper-saturated. Just like many nocturnal creatures, when they're lurking in the shadows, all you see are the reflections from their eyes looking back at you. I will also be adding as much mud, dirt, grit, and slime to this nasty, nasty Pokemon just to make it look as vile as possible, so with that in mind, let's get started. I crumpled up some aluminum foil and covered it with polymer clay. Typically, I work with white Sculpey, but today, in order to save time later during painting, I'm just going to use different colors of Sculpey instead. Then, I took some extra wire that I had lying around. I twisted it together for extra support and very carefully sculpted 2 little red feet. I anchored that into the body, and once Tangela had found his footing, it was time to give him the gift of sight. I carved out 2 eye sockets and inserted the eyes. Once those are both stuck into place, it was time to start adding some texture. I built up the largest wrinkles first, then etched in the fine detail. Tangela is obviously made out of a bunch of different tentacles, so to make those, I mixed a bunch of clay together using several different shades of blue. I pre-baked the body in the oven, and once that was cool enough to touch, I started laying the tentacles over top of each other. It took over 100 of them to cover the whole surface, while also making sure to leave its face partially visible. With all the tentacles finally secured, I put the clay back into the oven, and once it was fully cooked, it was time to start painting. I started off with a silver color, and brushed over top of the skin to bring out all the details. After finishing the base coat for the eyes, I applied a black wash over everything. This helps to tone down those bright red feet and also makes the body look absolutely filthy. Next, I started layering the brighter colors onto the eye, then placed some highlights on top. And while my little Tangela is looking less and less like a cute and cuddly Pokemon and more like the nightmare fuel he truly is, there's still one thing missing: slime. Lots and lots of slime. So, naturally, I mixed up a few drops of paint, in with some craft glue, and covered the whole thing. It took a few layers, but now that Tangela is looking absolutely revolting, I can put him aside for now and start working on some terrain. When I was out at the craft store a little while ago, I saw these awesome coasters that are all made out of slate. They're super dense and heavy, and I thought they would work perfect for the base. I did a quick paint job with some solid yellow, then started gluing on some sand and a few stones here and there. After sticking Tangela onto the base, I realized the entire terrain just looks like a giant oatmeal cookie, and that's not the vibe I want. So, in order to make it look a bit more natural and swampy, I'm gonna add in some darker tones, and I think I could also add in some vegetation. Now that we're almost finished, I just need to add a couple plants. So, I took some moss and ripped it up into some smaller clumps. This will work perfectly because it already looks just like a little shrub. I painted them red so it better matches the color of Tangela's eyes and glued everything into place. I went back and touched up everything with just a little bit more slime for good measure, and just like that, this Creepy Tangela is complete. All that's left to do is sit back and enjoy the final result.